Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&As, so let's get this started. First question. Hey Jason, I've just recently started a career change and become an apprentice Thatcher. It's a very tough manual labor job with a lot of time I'm on a ladder, mainly working with my right side. The question is, should I worry about imbalances? I can already feel my right side a lot more fatigued than my left, especially my hand, forearm, bicep, and general shoulder girdle. Is there anything you'd recommend to correct any potential imbalances? Thanks. You know what I would recommend here? Once you've adapted to the work a little bit, I don't want you to change what you do in the gym. You need to understand that's not going to give you what you want. A lot of people will do that and be like, well, I'll train more for my left side. I don't necessarily recommend that. What I'm going to recommend is to understand you're always going to have a dominant side. You might see all these bodybuilders with perfect proportions. That's an illusion. They really don't. I promise you, if you go measure their arm, one of their arms is half inch or an inch bigger than the other. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Even guys win in the Olympia. That's reality. They just pull off the illusion whether they get them ripped enough that people can't tell them apart. Because usually you'll see fat distribution more than muscle distribution, unless it's a glaring imbalance from an injury or something like what I have with my left bicep. So what I'm going to recommend, once you get used to the job, after you've been doing it a month and you've gotten used to the workload of what you're doing, and for those who don't know what a Thatcher is, he basically lives in the UK. They have a lot of thatched roofs there. It's a special type of roofing that doesn't involve shingles. It's like a lot of straw type stuff. That's what he's doing. He's a specialized roof worker in a more historic trade, and there's a lot of that in his country. There are thousands and thousands of houses like that, possibly millions. They're all over the country. But that being said, once you adapt to the work, start trying to use your left side a little more. Just things when your right's a little tired, use your left a little more for certain things. And make sure that when you train in the gym that you do everything in the gym balanced. In other words, don't grind reps. The same stuff I tell people all the time that causes muscle imbalances in the gym. I have half a dozen videos I've done on it. Stick to that stuff. Good technique, good form, fast bar speed, don't grind, don't shift under a weight ever. That way you keep both sides equally trained as far as your strength and your primary hypertrophy end, and this other stuff becomes secondary metabolic fatigue, your labor does, and not your primary driver of hypertrophy. And if you want to balance it out, start doing some of the stuff with your left hand. When you're carrying a bucket up the ladder, always do it with your left hand. Since you know you're going to do the hammering and pulling and stuff more with the right, do all the other stuff with the left. It'll balance out. You'll be good to go. All right, next question. Do you have recommendations for increasing lung capacity and reducing respiratory symptoms from asthma? I already do an hour of LiSS every day, plus I train full body 4 times a week. Not looking for practical advice, just recommendations for training and lifestyle. Thanks again. Also, I'm really enjoying your firearm channel. I'm glad you enjoy both of my channels there. A lot of people aren't aware I actually run a firearm channel also. People are always like, what do you do with that device? I give tutorials. I break it down step by step. I teach you how to do it. So back to the other thing. I'm glad you said no medical advice, because that's going to be the first thing I say. Look, I'm not going to give you medical advice. Not going to do it. That's your doctor's job. Now, that being said, can your lifestyle, your training, everything else help with your asthma to some extent? Yeah, of course it can. Of course it can. Is it going to cure it? No. And your doctor is probably going to have to figure out what medications he thinks is ideal for your situation. But oxygen capacity is going to be your big deal, because asthma is an autoimmune disorder that restricts breathing of your airways. And basically you get less air in. So if you can make more efficient use of the air that you get when you do have an asthma attack, your body itself is going to come out of it better, with less fatigue, less problems, everything else. This may not get rid of your problems, because it probably won't, but it'll help mediate it. So that being said, you're doing an hour of LiSS every day. That's perfect. You train full body every day. Perfect. That's most of what you need to do. Don't develop dietary deficiencies. Don't overtrain. Do not overtrain. Someone who has asthma, I'm going to be honest, you need to stick to letting your body recover between workouts. Don't follow programs with planned overreaching. The reason I say that, the overreaching itself will build inflammation in your body. You already have a medical condition, a serious medical condition that involves inflammation. Don't exacerbate it. You need to train a little less hard, get gains a little slower. Don't worry about it, it's fine. You don't have to push your body to the limit to make gains. You won't make that extra 5% that you could have made in a perfect world. It'll keep your asthma more in check though. Because again, the general inflammation you're going to build up from very intense weight training, if it becomes too high, could exacerbate your condition. In other words, train hard, but don't train so hard that you struggle with recovery. It will interfere with your medical condition. I promise you it will. Don't do it. Keep your body weight lower. Don't bulk. The heavier you are, fine. If you want to gain muscle, slow bulk, recomp, do whatever you need to do. Don't let yourself gain 10 extra pounds of body fat just so that you can gain extra muscle. Because again, you got asthma. If you're carrying an extra 10 pounds of body fat that you don't need, not helping you be stronger, not helping you be fitter, that's an extra 10 pounds you've got to lug around, an extra 10 pounds that you're having to oxygenate when you have an asthma attack. It's not good, not going to be helpful. Just be leery of that. All right, next question. Hi Jason, I'm getting to the point where I'm satisfied with my strength. The big three are over 1,000 total. I'd like to keep the strength but spend more time on the vanity stuff. I'd like to look a bit more the part. What is the minimum amount I could lift on the big three, and at what intensity says to maintain strength and be able to focus on the aesthetics? Thanks as always. You know what? Congratulations. And that's the first thing I'm going to say to some guy. When some guy says, I want to look like this, I want to look like that, and they haven't built any strength base, I honestly think they're a big flopping pussy, and I don't want to give them advice. Now, you're like, look, bro, I built a base. I got 1,000 total, and actually 1,000 total is considered kind of a baseline for a novice lifter. You know, that's actually considered to where, okay, we know that you've made most of your noob gains at this point. You've put in some work. You've lifted some heavy weight. You're ready to possibly change goals. You built a base already. That's good. And I like to see that. You've built your base. So you're not a big floppy pussy who's like, okay, I want to look better now. You're a guy who's like, okay, I put in some time under the iron. Not happy with my look. You don't have to stop getting stronger to get more aesthetic. Look at my bro Nico. He comes through here under the name Croton9 sometimes, my bro Nico. Guy's been a natty pro for over a decade. I helped him get his squat past 500. I want you to look at how that guy looks. Guy squats 500 pounds, benches 315 for reps paused. All right, the dude looks phenomenal. Now, he's a genetic freak. In fact, Louis Marco knows him too and called him a genetic freak. But he and I go way back. We go back way years ago. He's strong. He's strong, and he has a physique that I think, that's the sort of guy who would destroy all of us on YouTube. If this guy, because of the way that he looks and his insertions and all that, but he does a lot of power training. He does power building. But if that guy were to start a YouTube channel, he'd make all of us look like asses. Granted, I helped him a bit, but he's just genetically gifted, and that's a lot of what aesthetics is, your genetic gifts. You got to work around what you have. There's no reason to stop building your strength. You want to know what's going to make you aesthetic. Once your genetics are to the side, your structure's to the side, because you can't change those things. Building up your weak points, looking at your physique, comparing it to classic structures and saying, where am I missing muscle? Where am I filled out versus where do I need to fill out more? And I probably need to get leaner. All right. For most guys, something as simple as adding a little bit of bicep and a little bit of delt and dropping 10 pounds of fat will probably make them look 10 times more aesthetic. So that's all it comes down to. You don't need to quit squatting, benching, deadlifting. You don't think back, quads, and pecs and triceps improve aesthetics? Sure they can. What I would say to most guys who care about aesthetics, the worst thing you can do is train your traps a lot, though. Don't directly train your traps. Spend more time on your delts than your traps. Get leaner. Done. There's your aesthetics. No, and it sounds silly to say that, but that's the reality of it. You know what? Focus more on your overhead pressing. Do some more chin-ups and curls. Drop 5-10 pounds of body fat. Your aesthetics will improve massively without having to stop gaining strength on your big lifts. Pretty straightforward. All right, next question and last question of the week. Is there any benefit to benching, say, 10, 15, 20 kilograms more than you can lift by yourself and having a spotter do significant lifting to help you? I see so many guys in the gym struggling to lift, say, 150 pounds by themselves with a spotter and then inexplicably increasing the weight and lifting the higher weight with the spotter actually straining to a system. Assuming they mean without the spotters actually straining. They don't magically lift the weight. You know why they're lifting more weight? Because the spotter's taking 20 pounds off the bar. If you don't think a finger under the bar takes 20 pounds off of a bench press, I don't know what to tell you. It does. It does. And because they're tapping it up through their weak point, they're pushing them past their weak point, which is actually the reason they can't lift as much. So that being said, does it help them? No, it's absolutely stupid. It's absolutely stupid. It's moronic. It's silly bro stuff in the gym that makes it harder to program your own training. I don't believe in spotters as anything but a safety. In other words, when you're lifting something that's relatively dangerous or you can't set yourself under the rack correctly, that's where spotters come into play. As someone who's big on training programming myself, big on strength sports, everything else, you want to see me get pissed, let a spotter touch my bar, because that ruins my workout, it ruins my strength curve. And how do I program now? I don't know how much weight the spotter took off, how much he took on. I don't know what my tonnage is. I don't know what my progression is like. I have no way to register what I've done because the spotter has messed with it. And if the spotter is helping lift the weight, I want you to think about this for a minute. If the spotter lifts part of the weight, how does that improve your muscle mass or strength? It doesn't, because your muscles did less work. In what world do the muscles doing less work equal more muscle mass or more strength? I mean, without even getting into science behind it, that should be common sense, that if you want a muscle to get bigger and stronger, you should probably make it work a little bit harder. And I think that's pretty well understood. Everyone understands that. So you're not lifting more weight. So you ask, if you lift more weight with the spotter, why would you lift more weight with the spotter? You can't lift more weight just because the spotter's there. The muscle can lift what a muscle can lift. In other words, it's the spotter helping. It's the spotter helping, and the spotter's easily going to be able to lift an extra 10 kilos. If they make any contact with the bar, they're removing weight. So you're not actually lifting more. There's more weight on the bar, but it doesn't mean that you're lifting it. So no, I don't think spotters should ever touch a bar, because it ruins your training programming, messes up your strength curve, everything else. They shouldn't touch the bar unless there's a risk of injury. That's their job. That's it. That's the only purpose of a spotter. Anything else is being a silly gym bro, and it has no place in proper training programming or proper routine. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.